Something different today. A LISY FPGA WILLFA7, and this one is set up with the SD card to Baracora, and it was reported to have an issue with one of the switch rows, maybe switch columns. Let me boot this thing up and show you what happens on the displays with the LISY WILLFA7. Takes that long to boot, which is not bad. The FPGA version is way faster than the Raspberry Pi version. And we can put it into test just like we can a regular System 7 MPU. That snaking across the display was not happening in real life. The next test is sound test, and I didn't build a cable to go. Well, as it turns out, I do have a cable to go from there to there. Let's just fish this thing down here. And for good measure, let's power off. Alrighty, and I get to show you what the LISY board looks like when it's powering on. Those two LEDs, the lower one's on and the second one is active. And so we are back up again. And once again, that snaking reminds me of Centipede, my favorite video game. Here's the sound outputs. Looks awesome. And then the next test is lamp test. I've got one of my old Siegecraft test devices, since I didn't make these connectors long enough on my bench to support a smaller CPU board. And the next test is solenoid test. I blinked and missed number 1 there, but fortunately I can watch it come around again. 16 is on because it's a coin lockout solenoid. Sometimes those will go off if you put the game into free play, and sometimes they don't. It's doing some sounds now. There was 1. I also missed the special solenoid number 1 because I blinked. Maybe I should. Well, I already have those driven by 12 volt. Or no, they're driven by 5 volts. Maybe I'll crank up the voltage on those to 12 volts so I can see them a little better. Well, you know what? I'm beginning to think that Baracora doesn't drive special solenoid device number 1 in test. That would be weird. All right, let's go to switch test. And walking across, I'm going to do this differently. Here is column 1, going backwards through the rows. And here is row 1. Sorry, I craned my fingers around again. So those switches are all working. Here's the audits and adjustments, and it's back to booting. So I don't think there's anything wrong with this board. The 3 switches, or the 3 ICs that are responsible for switch matrices. This HC240 does the strobing, and there's 2 HC4049s that do the returns. And I did test all 3 of those chips in my Chinese chip tester, and they all tested fine. So I don't see anything wrong with this board.